with or in spaces where we need change. Now, you've heard about conversations regarding corruption over the last couple of months, ranging from members of parliament being charged and remanded over corruption allegations. But that's not all. We've also had conversations still regarding corruption in different entities among public service officials, and in even the private sector. Now, speaking about corruption means that there is a group of people in Uganda that are even more affected. You've heard of the youth that graduate from different universities, but they cannot find jobs because in some institutions they are required to pay a given amount of money, or that they cannot get the jobs despite being qualified because someone used nepotism and hired people that they know, people that they are related to, people that come from their villages. That and more are some of the issues that Ugandan youth are grappling with. And we know that they are the most affected segment of the population in terms of vulnerability to unemployment, economic stagnation, and poverty. And many of these issues also have a bearing in corruption. So what's the role of the youth in fighting against corruption in Uganda? Because they cannot just stand or sit on the sidelines and watch as the country goes into deprivation by some of the people that lead us, also by some of the people that lead certain sectors in the country, whether in the private or public sector. So we want to invite the youth onto the table because according to reports by the Uganda National Bureau of Statistics, it also shows that Uganda's population is 70% the youth, and we have 0 to 17 years old taking up 50% of our population. So you cannot have a conversation regarding corruption minus including the youth. And because of that, that's why we have a panel this morning of only the youth. They are youth leaders from different parts of the country, and they're here with us to share on how best we can fight corruption and their role therein. It's the conversation we are having. And if you are a youth, I believe this is opening gates for you of conversation, but also of things to reflect upon on a deeper level. My name is Olive Monica Najuma, and I am joined by Kwirinjira Derek, who is the Kisoro NRM youth leader, and also Kato Serusiba, who is an NRM cadre right there in the middle. And on the extreme left, Chemo Mashud, who is the Sebei Sub-Region youth leader. Now with me, these gentlemen are going to tell us more on the role of the youth in the fight against corruption. First of all, you are welcome to Good Morning Uganda.
Thank you.
I'm glad to have you, Mr. Serusiba.
Thank you so much, Madam Monica. Good morning, Uganda. Good morning to all our viewers. My name is Serusiba Joseph Kato, a born of Orengo, and NRM party.
All right. And Mr. Mashud, I'm glad to have you this morning.
Thank you, Najuma.
I'm
happy to be with you again.
Happy to be with you once again. I've had Mr. Mashud here still speaking about the role of the youth in business. He's usually here to highlight how the youth can be included on the table that has the national cake. And right next to me is Mr. Kwirinjira Derek. I'm so glad to have you this morning.
Glad to be here also. I'm called Derek Kwirinjira from Chanika Town Council, Bufumbila South, Kisoro District. Thank you. Good morning to our viewers.
And I'll start with you, Mr. Kwirinjira. And here on the conversation regarding corruption, I would like to know, in your own perspective, how corruption has affected opportunities and lives of the youth in your home district of Kisoro.
Thank you, Madam.
Please
First of all, corruption, to our viewers, we need to understand corruption. People think corruption is all about embezzling government funds. Not really. corruption has different forms. For example, nepotism, where we find job opportunities are only given to the relatives, friends, and family. Kickbacks, where after getting a contract, then there is a team following you to give some the part of like money, so that in order to have that contract, we have bribery, where we receive. Actually, it's not all about receiving, but also giving money is also corruption. So fighting corruption is it requires collective efforts. Actually, change starts between me and you. We shouldn't wait for the president to fight corruption. We have to also have a role as youth to fight corruption. For instance, corruption has affected a number of productive activity sectors, like health. You find in Kisoro district, it is on record, where people were being charged for services. Normal delivery had a different price. Operation had a different price. And these are services that should be free to Ugandans, because the taxes they pay facilitate, should be actually used to provide services to these citizens. But it's very unfortunate that the taxes the people pay, they don't see, they don't benefit from these taxes they pay. Now, unemployment in Kisoro has actually become so, it has become a challenge in Kisoro district. People, if you go to different betting centers, you find youth are the ones spending the whole day in these betting centers, because they don't have what to do. Because corruption, if you go to apply at the district, they only take people from different family backgrounds, based on family backgrounds, because people don't have that money to bribe. People don't have money to give these commissions that recruit employees. If we go...
so what you're saying is that it is true that in some cases where jobs have been posted, commissions that are in charge of recruitment actually ask for bribes in order to employ the youth?
Actually, some of us will no longer apply for these jobs, because we know what is taking place at the district. Because sometimes you hear there are some vacancies, but they tell you, please don't even waste your time. This job is taken.
That's pretty sad.
To the extent, actually, now that some vacancies are not even advertised, because they are waiting for their daughters and sons to complete their course. Someone is in second year, but the vacancy is waiting for him.
These are quite huge allegations, Mr. Kwirinjira. Can they be corroborated by any person other than yourself?
Honestly, it is on record. I'm always on different radios in Kisoro. Different panelists talk about it.
Okay.
And even leaders have come out to condemn such actions. Because if we want to fight corruption, we have to make sure if people get buy jobs, what do you expect people to do when they enter those offices? Because they need to recover the money they have spent to get those jobs. So if at all we want, if we have any plan to fight corruption, we should encourage transparency in recruitment processes.
Well, Mr. Kwirinjira Derek is the NRM youth leader, Kisoro district. And among others, he says there needs to be transparency in the job recruitment process in his district, but also all across the country. Now, I would like to move on to the other member on the panel. And Mr. Kato Serusiba, you are an NRM cadre. And there have been some huge allegations that have been put out by Mr. Kwirinjira here, but he says that they can be corroborated. Now, coming back to you, what is the current state of corruption within political structures, and how are you, youth leaders, addressing these?
Thank you so much. Every day we talk about corruption, but I want us to help our viewers understand the term corruption. It's, to my understanding, it's the misuse of power or position for our personal gains. It often in line with unethical and illicit behavior.
Yes.
It may take, of course, very many forms. One is extortion, that is getting money by force or through intimidating or threatening someone. Then too, it can take a form of bribery. Bribery, that is receiving, soliciting, and accepting any kind of payment to do something. And then we can also talk of embezzlement, that is misuse of funds or assets in one's favor. There is also what we call fraud. Fraud, that is deceiving or misrepresenting. So that is how best I can talk of corruption. But of course, it affects everyone in one way or the other.
Yes.
One, my brother has talked of being asked to pay a token to be given jobs, or if he happens to go to a certain hospital, he can also be asked to pay a certain amount of money. Yet such services are meant to be free to all Ugandans. And to my understanding, if a certain amount of money is being released, for example, to construct roads, we can take an example of Masakamu Tukura road.
Yes.
If Parliament releases like 500 billions, and then one or two people decides to grab 2 billions out of it, trust me, the quality of the Lord, it's not going to be good.
Indeed.
If Parliament releases 500 billions to purchase drugs, and 1 to 2 people happens to grab like 5 billions, trust me, in some areas, people may not be able to receive such drugs. And it's going to affect everyone, not only me, but even you. We have very many hospitals where we expect our people to go and get free medical services. But you find out that our very own people are being asked to pay 50,000, 100,000.
And this money is for?
Such amount of money is given to individuals, the nurses, the doctors, specifically to do medical checkups.
So
and yet it is supposed to be totally for free.
Okay, so it's not that they are being asked to pay for consultation fees.
Yes.
It is just a kickback.
A kickback, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And that is corruption, as per my own understanding. And so it's not a one man's effort. It's everyone should take part in the fight against corruption. Because if you realize that something wrong is taking place and then you just keep quiet, trust me, tomorrow it's going to affect you. If not you, it will affect your brother or a sister. So we must all stand up and say no to corruption.
Now that you've mentioned some of the ways money is being taken or redirected, for lack of a better word, I will still ask you the original question. We have seen corruption tendencies in political structures, but one begs for that question. You are the youth, and you are youth leaders and politicians. How are you addressing these misnomers that are happening in our society today, especially by the political class?
The youth are using all the available platforms to address the issue of corruption. When you go to Twitter, when you go to Facebook and TikTok today,
yes,
trust me, very many youth have come out to talk about corruption. And if they happen to talk about corruption, trust me, it's helping the government to check itself where it has gone wrong when it comes to corruption. We've seen the president launching State House Anti-Corruption Unit. We've seen the office of IGG. We've seen members of parliament being charged, being called to make reports, to go to SID headquarters, to be asked several questions, whether they have been involved in corruption or not. And we've seen very many being arrested. And we've seen very many being charged and taken to courts of law. So I think we've tried our level best as youth to address the issue of corruption via social media and other platforms, like even this one. We are here specifically to talk about corruption.
I agree. The youth are not quiet when it comes to the fight against corruption. And I have three gentlemen here with me who are youth leaders that are sharing with us on the role of the youth in the fight against corruption. Now, knowing that the largest part of our population is comprised of the youth, we need to have conversations with them to help guide us and point us in the right direction. Now, Mr. Serisiba here says that the youth, among others, have used social media applications like X to speak on corruption, and I can't say that I disagree. I've seen what they have done right there. But now, the other gentleman I have on the panel with me this morning is Mr. Chemo Mashud, who is the Sebei Sub-Region Youth Leader. He also comes from the National Resistance Movement Party. Now, Mr. Mashud, I would like to know what unique challenges Sebei Sub-Region faces in regards to corruption.
Thank you so much, Najma. There are several challenges the youth within Sebei Sub-Region face when it comes to the monster called corruption that should and must in all ways be shunned away from our society. What I can tell you is corruption has led to so many challenges, and one is misappropriation or misallocation of funds, of government funds. Putting in mind that several other times government has done a number of things to ensure that its societies or its communities within its government live a little in a better life. And we have had things to do with poor governance through corruption within society. And as time comes, I'll break down to you on how corruption has led to poor governance or weak governance within societies, maybe at local council.
Now, let's delve right into that. How exactly has corruption led to poor governance, especially when it comes to the local government in Sebei Sub-Region, but also in other parts of the country?
Number one, when you look at under government, we'll look at things to do with the political instability. And political instability has been brought in one way or the other, that those that have accumulated, a little fair money have used money to manipulate other people so they could secure offices for themselves. And given that reason, therefore, you realize that within government, we appeal as young people that if Michemo has the interest in leading a society, then before we are enrolled or we are nominated for certain positions, our sources of money should be realized of how we have been living and how we have gotten this money, so that at the end of the day, we are not building a selective information processing within the people and using the subconscious mentality, whereby someone would come to people and would wish to portray an image of them having so much money that would, such money would be used for them to be considered as competent persons. And in that reason, therefore, we are saying several other people within society should come together and reason with us. We have had challenges like misuse of the available resources and the government money. In my society, we have several sites within the area, the mining sites. We have limestone activity that is carried on within my area. And within this area, there are a lot of challenges that our people face within the area. When the limestone activity is being carried out, you realize that there is a lot of pollution. There is dust pollution and even noise pollution. And when dust is polluted within an area, you realize that the people within that locality are affected internally within them, and people are not in a position to realize. It takes them a long time for them to realize that they have a challenge or they have been affected within the activity that has been brought in the area. So as young people, we have tried emphasizing to government on how, if it is possible, to put a policy to see that, like you said, within corruption is being looked or realized within the private sector and even within government. Yes. And now, when you talk about the mining industry within societies, we are talking about the private sector, and within the private sector, we are saying, could there be a social corporate corporate social responsibility within the people that come do mining within an area or within our area, so that at the end of the day, maybe a certain investor who is mining maybe limestone within my area could maybe come and put up maybe a block, a hospital block, or even buy for us equipments that will enable or help us to ascertain of what challenges are going through. We came to realize as young people, given the research we have done, that our people are dying mysteriously. People are dying when they do not know of what is killing them. And if they know of what is killing them, then it is very late for them to cap down or even manage the situation. So we are saying people within our area should come, work together, and see how we could leverage life within society. The other thing I would not want to forget is that within these areas, corruption has been realized, because even within the district leadership, these people, the investors or people that come and do activities within our area, are willing to cooperate with people. But you realize that a small sector of people or a small group of people within district sector goes to meet the investors or people responsible or within these mining sectors. And instead of asking for what belongs to the people, they're asking for a token. Even if people within society...
So basically they are looking out for themselves.
Yes.
And when they do get to meet these investors, do you have youth representatives on this table, or it is just the other people that go and the youth are not involved?
For a very long time, we have not had an opportunity to come and directly ascertain. But since the other day, we realized that the president of this country is so much interested in curbing down and taking off this monster that has eaten people to the bone marrow. It's now time that we are going to work tooth and nail to see that there is no any form of corruption existing in our society. You realize that people, we have records. People, or within the past governments, people have gone to these mining sectors and asked for what benefits them. Someone is given 400 bags of cement. And if 400 bags of cement could be manipulated or could be channeled into something right, you realize that something good would have been done. We have bridges that that are being used by these immediate people. Their trucks are very heavy, and every time and then they are cracking our roads. We seek that within the government system, people should work with their minds and the interest to support and develop an area, so that at the end of the day, we are in position to ascertain and identify that within a particular government, we have been able to receive this and put this into place.
Well, that is Mr. Chemo Mashudi, who is the youth representative for the Sebei sub-region under the NRM party. Now, coming back to the youth representative Kisoro, the youth leader, Kisoro district, that is Mr. Kwiringira Derek, right next to me. I'm curious to know, Mr. Kwiringira, whether you have been part of any initiatives in the district to fight against corruption in Kisoro district.
Actually, I should be proud of myself because I've been on radios educating, promoting awareness, teaching people about corruption, the effects of corruption. However, like we lack resources because I need to move to different places, and when you go to different places, even mobilizing the youth becomes a challenge because they expect you, because they are used. If you go to them, they expect you to come with something because they don't feel they should give you time when you're not going to give them something, because the leaders have spoiled their mind. They think in order to talk to them, they must go back home with money.
Basically, to speak to them, you must pay them.
Yes, please. Because for them, they think whoever comes to them, I'm going to give you an example. Actually, some people think when I go to these radios, I'm being paid, but it's not. Like, actually, that's a lie, because I go to radios because I'm being patriotic. I love my country. I need to serve my country, and that's actually, this is the reason as why I'm coming to represent people of Fumbila South in 2026.
Oh, okay.
Yes, because we need to clean the parliament. How do we clean it? We need to change leaders. We need to bring the youth, because youth need to participate in decision making. How do we do it? Because if we participate in politics,
yes,
or running for the offices, we are trying to also to put a brick on this nation. However, we're not given a chance, because now that politics commercialization has become the order of the day. Because when you talk to people, they will ask you, yes, we have heard you have great ideas, but now please do something. Because if others give us money, please, we expect money from you also.
Now, speaking about representing Bufumbira South in 2026, the last elections that we had in 2021 brought forward some youth leaders that now became members of parliament. Do you know if they are actually serving their people, or they went to parliament and forgot the reason why they got there in the first place?
I'm really proud of it, because if you've been watching what is taking place, if you look at the Joel Senyonyi, the Derek Nyeko, these are youth. We see how they have put pressure on parliament, the speaker of parliament, please, we need this to be done. Okay. But now, actually, the one we call elites have kept quiet. So they have not actually, it is, for them it is okay, it is normal.
Okay, they don't challenge the status quo.
Yes, because now we need youth who are going to speak, who are going to represent the issues that are affecting the youth. Because you're not going to understand what is affecting the youth if you're not youth. Because these people have already made their money. They don't care. It's it's the youth now to go on the front line. We put our eyes on the president of Uganda, because for him, he said he's soon going to heaven to see his father. Now
he's about to go meet his father.
Because he's not going with Uganda. Uganda is going to stay.
That's right.
So it's really the youth to take the lead. We must do something. We must come up and participate in governance.
So what would you say to the youth that basically divorce themselves from the issues of national importance? It is been reported within different reports that the youth are not really that interested in the politics of the country. What would you say to those?
I think it's because
when we go, let me clarify, when we go to the polls, it is said that it is not majority youth that are casting their ballots. And in that regard, it means there needs to be a mindset change. Now that you're a youth leader and actively into politics, what word would you have to the youth that feel like politics of the country do not concern them?
It's unfortunate that now the youth are being used in actually to fight. For example, in Kisoro, during elections, youth were given pangas, torches, gumboots, and jackets to move at night, threatening those, for example, the supporters of candidate A will move at night in order to stop candidate B giving money. But you wonder, these people are being used. That money that is being distributed, it's not your money. But now, what if you lose your life? Who is going to be affected? It's your family. You're going to lose your life. So I condemn youth to be used in such activities, because we must come out and make a decision not to be used. They say, even when you choose to do nothing, you've decided. So for us, we have decided to come out and condemn, and actually we should, in order for our voices to be heard, we must participate in these activities, because now, actually, it's very sad that youth no longer even participate in voting. They give you someone to vote for you because you've eaten someone's money. They have to be sure that you've not eaten money for free.
Their vote.
Just imagine someone at my age. I still have eyes to see.
Yes.
I still have the energy to hold a pen and take the ballot paper.
Yes.
But someone goes ahead to vote for me because I've eaten someone's money. So, do you think now they're choosing for you a leader? So whatever consequences, you shouldn't complain because you've failed to play your role.
All right. Mr. Kwiringira here says that if you decide to do nothing, you have made a decision, because nothing is also a decision. Good take right there. Now, coming back to you, Mr. Kato. Do I even say Mr. on Kato?
No, not really.
Okay, now coming back to you, I would like for us to speak about local government. And in this effect, I would like to know, what role do local governments play in supporting the youth in supporting the youth in their anti-corruption initiatives, and what has the NRM party done in particular in supporting the youth still in the fight against corruption?
Thank you so much once again. The local government has tried its level best to support the youth in this fight against corruption, because at least we've seen some of them organizing workshops and seminars to educate the youth the effects of corruption, and how do we lose as the country if we let corruption go like that. And we've seen very many local government leaders visiting different media houses, different radio stations and TVs, talking about corruption and guiding our people, how best can we address the issues of corruption, the cases of corruption. Like, for example, if you're supposed to get 1 million for PDM or 2 millions, and then you're being given 800 without giving you a genuine
a reason as to why you've not been given the 200 out of what you've received. I think you don't just need to keep quiet. You need to stand up, and then you make an inquiry, or if not, you report such people to the authority.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, one last question, and this question goes to all three of you gentlemen, but briefly, since time is of the essence. What long-term strategies would you recommend for sustaining the fight against corruption and to ensure that we have a corruption-free country? I'll start with you, Mr. Serisiba.
One, I think we need to provide protection to the whistleblowers. Two, we need to give a platform to the youth that have come out to speak against corruption. We need to give them platforms, like we invite them on TVs, radios, and of course on Twitter Spaces to speak against corruption. And then three, we can keep on engaging the youth, inviting them to be involved in different seminars and workshops.
Yes.
As we speak against corruption.
Thank you very much. And now coming to you, Mr. Mashood, same question. What strategies can we employ to ensure a corruption-free Uganda, and also to sustain the fight against corruption?
Yes, thank you, Najma. There are several formulas we would come up with to see that we champion, we let the youth champion the need to eradicate corruption within our society. And number one is, like my brother Kato has said, we need to put up platforms that will enable young people to express, to show out their interest on how they wouldn't wish to see corruption within an area. And these platforms could be, one, I would appeal to government that under the youth council, they should appropriately use the youth councils. Because for so long we have seen the youth councils being put up. Youth have been elected into positions, but yet they are not listened to. They are not given time to express. And even if they are to ascertain a particular office within the district premises, you realize that they are not in position to be given opportunity to express and even ascertain or find out how certain monies that has been given by government is being spent. What I will tell you is that young people should be given platform in one way or the other. The other day I had my fellow youth within the region, Sabay sub-region, and they had chosen to put up a sensitization drive. It was called a PDM sensitization drive. But yet they were denied by the police just because they think that certain people thought that our sensitization drive was political. So because they are others are inferior, about their capabilities in them, they had to call the police fraternity within the district to stop the young people from conducting a seminar that they had wished to put up. So you realize that as we talk about corruption, corruption has eaten people to the bone marrow. It is just because of time that we have not been in position to express exactly how corruption has eaten people. But as time comes, I propose and suggest that maybe within short times we will always have topics on corruption so that we are in position to tell the people, the stakeholders within this country on how corruption has been. So what I would say...
Thank you, Thank you, Mr. Chemo Mashood. I know that the conversation regarding corruption is one that cannot really be talked about, and it comes to an end. So yes, we will have further conversations regarding the same. But for now, I'd like to hear from Mr. Kwirinjira, your last words to our viewers.
In order to have sustainable development, a development that even caters for the next generation, we need to ensure the following, as I suggest by the possible measures. We need to ensure there is participation in governance by youth. We need to support youth-led organizations. We need to engage the communities. We need to teach them what is corruption, the forms of corruption, what is the impact of corruption on the development. we need also to ensure that, most especially the youth, like we need to have that global interactions. We need to copy from other countries. How have they managed to implement these policies? Of course, we shouldn't copy everything and paste here in Uganda, because I also don't buy the idea of burning tires on the road because you're expressing your maybe your anger or your feelings. But however, to me, I think now this is the right time for youth to come out and also participate in decision making, so as to make sure that our voices are heard and our issues are addressed. So that's the reason as why I'm coming to represent people of Bufumbira South, Kisoro District in Parliament 2026.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Kwirinjira Derek. He is the Kisoro NRM youth leader, and he says he's coming back in 2026 to represent the people of Bufumbira South. And the other gentleman I had on the panel with me today is Kato Serusiba, who is an NRM cadre. And the last one is Mr. Chemo Mashud, who is the Sebei Sub-Region Youth Leader. And together, we've been delving into the issue that is the role of the youth in the fight against corruption. Corruption is a misnomer. Mr. Mashud called it a cancer. I like to call it an evil that is eating our society. It started with the edges, but we are now, it's chipping away slowly by slowly onto the heart that makes Uganda. But we are not giving up on the fight. The youth are not giving up on the fight, because Mr. Kwirinjira here said, when you decide to do nothing, you've made a decision. I want you to go home and think on that and your role in the fight against corruption. I'm Olive Monica Najuma. Thank you so much for sticking with us. Ruben Pima is coming up next with sports updates. Now coming to you, Mr. Mashud, same question. What strategies can we employ to ensure a corruption-free Uganda, and also to sustain the fight against corruption?
Yes, thank you, Najma. There are several formulas we would come up with to see that we let the youth champion the need to eradicate corruption within our society. And number one is, like my brother Kato has said, we need to put up platforms that will